Welcome. We are going to go through the what the whoop for our strain today. Okay. So this is our what the whoop for strain. If you are not familiar with whoop, again, whoop is a tracking device for fitness, honestly, for behavioral change patterns, for sleep, for recovery, just for overall health. It's a really good tool that you can use. If you want more information on what the whoop, then you are more than welcome to reach out to me, send me a message. Okay. So if you have Whoop, then you're familiar with this. This is the home screen on your What the Whoop app. I primarily go through the app version of it because it's most often what people are using to view the information. So if you have questions about the desktop or pulling up the information on the website version, then let me know. Okay. Happy to help you with that. So we're going to dive into strain. Strain is your activity, or it's not necessarily your activity, but the pressure on your cardiovascular system. And now with Whoop, it even allows you to look at the strain or the stress that you place on your muscular system as well through the strength tracker. Okay. Or the strength coach. So again, this is the home screen. Your strain is on the home screen combined with your recovery score. This is a fantastic recovery score. So I wish that was my recovery score today. It's not, but you do get to see your recovery score and your strain score. This one, when you're looking at the strain score here, you can see there is a faint white line that ends up coming along the bottom right side of the circle. That's kind of your optimal training or strain zone. So if you're looking to balance recovery and strain, you want to stay within that range. If you're looking to prioritize recovery, then you want to stay less than that range. And if you want to focus on gains, you want to go over that range. Looking at that balance is really important because if you're continually going over that range, then you're going to end up overtraining. You're going to have a lot more risk of injury, things like that. So make sure that you are, if you have days that go over, that's totally cool. You need to be able to balance that with recovery, but it's important to look at where your body is at with the strain and the optimal training range. We refer to that as Optimus Prime. We think it's hilarious, but anytime I say optimal or Optimus, it needs to be Optimus Prime. So if you want to access more detailed information about strain, that is on the top menu. It says strain. You can see that right there. When you go into that strain menu, you're going to see, like I said, more specific information, focused information on your strain score. So your recovery score is not going to be there anymore. So on the right, you see the recovery or the strain score. This is not the same day. If this was the same day, you would go into that strain and you would see that it says 16.4. So 5.1 is it was a different day. But underneath your strain score, we're going to go through each of these, what all is on that main strain homepage, and then straining coach and all of the details. We'll go through all of it. Okay. So underneath on the strain homepage, you see your circle, you see your range, your gauge, and then you're going to see your strain coach, which will tell you at the beginning of the day how hard you can push yourself, what your optimal range is. At the end of the day, it'll kind of, hey, this is what you did today. Maybe tomorrow think about this. It just gives you tips and suggestions for how to balance your day or how to balance your next day. Underneath that is our AI coach. So you can type a question into there. If you're low on your strain for the day and you want to accumulate more strain, hey, what can I do to get my strain higher? Things like that. You can definitely ask for tips from the AI coach in Whoop. Okay. And then you can see that. So how can I track my progress towards my strain? What activities help me reach my strain target? And then does meeting my strain target how does it impact my fitness gains? So that is your coach will automatically give you information, and then you can ask it specific questions and it will give you feedback in regards to that too. So all of that is super helpful. Your strain is going to be specific to you. So just because you do a HIIT class with your friend, you guys aren't going to get the same score. Even if you try to exhibit the same intensity, it's going to be different from you versus your friend because you have different biological, your body processes things differently. Okay. Your heart rate is going to be different than your friend's heart rate. It's all going to be different. So don't expect to see the same score for the two of you. Okay, so what is strain? When we look at strain, it's the exertion that's placed on your body over the course of the day through cardio and muscular load, your activity strain and your day strain. So you're experiencing stress, whether you're working out or not, your body experiences a strain. Okay, the higher the strain, the harder it is to build. So you might wake up with a strain right away that's like a 4 or a 5 like this, but as you continue throughout the day, if you do a hit class later in the day, it's going to be harder for you to build that strain than it will earlier in the day, or the higher the strain gets, the harder it is to build that. Your strain will not, 20.9 is like the max. It says it goes to 21 is the max strain, but if you reach 21, you die. Okay. So, yeah, so there's our little Optimus Prime guy. So you can see on this circle where we've got our recovery of 68% and our current strain is 4.3, and there's a little line there that is our optimal strain for the day of 12.1. That's where we are balancing recovery and activity. Okay, so if I want to prioritize gains, I'm going to work over that. And if I want to prioritize recovery, then I'm going to work under that. So in the second paragraph, it says a workout routine that usually gives you a 9.5 might be a 10.5 today when you're in the red. So depending on your recovery, that strain is also going to adapt as well. Your ability to handle the strain changes based on your recovery. So if I'm green, my ability to adapt to strain is really good. So I can load more on those green days than I can on those red days. So keep that into consideration when you're looking at what you're going to be doing for the day. Just because you have a red day doesn't mean you don't do anything. But if you have consecutive red days, you might want to consider taking a rest day or two, or doing more light or moderate work instead of high intensity work, or lifting too heavy. All right, so your strain score breaks down into light, moderate, high, and all out training. Your 0 to 9 or 9.9 score is going to be your minimal exertion. Those are going to be your recovery days. Okay. Moderate exertion days are your 10 to 13.9. You've done some work, but it's not too crazy. Your high exertion days are your 14 to 17.9. And then when you've just gone full on crazy, that's your 18 to 21. Again, you're not actually going to reach 21 because then you would be dead. But that's what we're looking at for our different strain scores. Just as, again, everybody is different. I typically end up in the high moderate range or low high range, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm usually between like a 13 to a 15. If I'm doing a lab, depending on the lab that I'm doing for Strong Nation, or a Strong Nation instructor training, because it's all day training and there's lots of physical activity and there can be a lot of stress in regards to it. Usually that'll end up being a high, so like a 17 to an 18, 19 day. It would be all day training that I would need, where I'm constantly doing energy, like exerting energy, where I would need to be in an all out. So when we're at like Sync Summit, or we do master trainer meetings, and we're doing boot camp, and we're doing strong, and we're doing drills, and we're doing this constantly all throughout the day, that's usually when I will experience an all out strain score. But usually I'm between 13 to 15 with my regular daily activity. Now, remember, when that's my regular daily activity, is I'm teaching at least one class a day and then managing a life with 4 kids and a dog as well. So, but again, that's just my score. What your strain score may be is going to be different. If you're sick, you may not do anything and you still reach that 13 to 14 zone. Not doing anything just because your body is already under so much strain, just trying to take care of your body because it's sick. So if you have heart issues, if you have other health issues, you may notice that you experience higher strain without doing anything anyway. So just keep that in mind, just giving you some general guidelines. Okay. Now we have 2 different types of strain that accumulate. We have our day strain. Like I said, that's just living your general life, taking care of kids, getting up in the morning, things like that. Your activity strain is specifically from the activities that you do during the day. If you're doing physical activities, if you're doing a HIIT class, if you're doing a yoga class, if you're doing a boot camp class, that's where your activity strain is going to be. And you'll be able to see that specific activity strain on your strain guide. So if you see the one, the measurement on the left is going to show you there was running, and then it looks like basketball. So there was 2 different strain activities on that day, and then your overall activity for the day equated to a 15.2. So those activity strains helped your day strain accumulate, but it will track both of them. Okay, so your day strain again is going to be everything that you do throughout the day. You're just going to accumulate strain throughout the day. Um, there is information. So when you go to the day strain, so if you're on the strain page, here we go. You can scroll down and it will show you more information about your specific strain. So if you're looking at either the day, you want to look at the day strain, overall day strain, or your activity strain, it'll break that down for you. So you'll be able to see what's on the left there versus what's on the right. And then if you go down farther on the strain page, it will, so you can look at your day strain specifically. And if you go all the way down, it'll give you more information so you can find out more specifically about your day strain. So if you're wondering, how can I, why did I accumulate so much strain? How am I accumulating so much day strain? That'll all be there. So most of the tabs, or the home screens or the data screens, when you scroll down to the bottom, there is a learn more section where you can always look at more detail in regards to that specific metric. And it'll just help you understand it a little bit more. So your day strain, so this is the day strain here. We have this as a drop down. So it'll break down your day strain. It'll break down your activity strain. You can look at it for the week, for the month, or for the 6-month period. And it will give you a bar graph or a line graph, depending on which timeline you're looking at, because it's so much data. Underneath that then is going to show you, if you're doing the weekly one, it'll show you what your breakdown is for all out, strenuous, moderate, or light strain for that week. If you do the month, again, it'll show you for the month. And if you do a 6-month period, it's going to show you the breakdown of your strain for that time period. So you can kind of see where you trend. So like I said, I'm typically between moderate and strenuous. So 5 of the 7 days was moderate and strenuous work that week. That's typically where I end up. A couple days will end up light because on Thursdays, I usually don't have class. And on Sundays, I usually don't have class. So you can kind of get an idea of how you are balancing your week in strain. And if you're constantly doing strenuous or all out work, you might want to take a couple days to do moderate or lighter work, especially if you are trending in the red for your recovery. Okay, now your activity strain, again, you could see where that little activity was from the drop down. You can either on the home screen or on the strain screen, it'll show you the activity. So if we go to that home screen, you can see the activities here. So this was the high stress work, HIIT, and stretching. You can click on those individually to see your activity information, or on the strain screen, when you scroll down, you should be able to see your activities there as well. So when you look at your activity strain, it'll actually show you your heart rate during that strain or during that activity. It'll break down your heart rate, whether it's the strength trainer or the activity trainer. Now, I did have a client that said her Whoop wasn't automatically picking up when she started an activity, so she was having to manually put it in. If you go into settings, there is a setting that allows you to have it so it automatically tracks your activity once it notices your heart rate is up. So if you've got or down, honestly, it'll track your naps too when it notices your heart rate is reaching your resting heart rate. So make sure that that's on if you want it to automatically track it. If you do not want it to automatically track it, then make sure that's off, but you do have to put in your activities on your own. You can always add the activity later. One of the things that I will say about that, though, is if you are hiking or you are running or you are walking and you're wanting to track your distance, it's not going to necessarily track that distance if you add it after the fact. So if you're wanting to track your distance for those biking, whatever it may be, make sure that you start it before you actually do the activity, or you have it automatically track your activity for you. Mine automatically tracks my activity. I may need to go in and adjust it, but for the most part, it's fairly accurate. Whatever activity it is going to track. As you can see with this center image, it's going to track your heart rate. So it'll tell you what zones you're in. So if you're wanting to do specific zone training, you will be able to see how that worked for you during that training period. Now you can do a live training as well, or when you're starting that activity, you can keep it active on your phone and then you can see where your heart rate is. So you can make sure that you're staying in that zone. So that's definitely an option for your training if you, like I said, are doing a zone training type of routine. It will give you your strain score. It'll tell you for For a strength trainer, how much of it was cardio versus muscular strain. It'll tell you with your cardio activity, like what was happening during that. So like this one says you were building aerobic fitness and strength. So it kind of gives you some feedback in regards to what the training did for you. When you're doing the strength trainer, this is really fun. It breaks down the exercises and what your heart rate was during those exercises. It breaks down how much you ended up lifting for the whole session. It's a really cool. I really do like the strength trainer. For a lot of the fitness tracking apps or tools, they don't have a strength trainer that tracks your strength. It usually only tracks the strain on your heart. So again, most fitness tools track your cardio strain, but don't track your muscular strain. And so it's really doing you a disservice because you're not seeing how much strain is being placed on your whole body. You're seeing the strain that's being placed just on your heart with those other tools. So Whoop is, I think, the only one, if one of few, that actually tracks that strength train as well, that muscular strain as well. So you can track both of those if you're doing the strength trainer. And we'll kind of look at this in depth later when we're going through stuff for activities and for coaches and stuff like that. But you do have to put in your workout for the strength trainer before you do the workout, because it looks at the movement that you're doing and how your body is moving and how much weight you're lifting and how many reps you're doing and how many sets you're doing. So you have to put in your strength workout before you actually do your strength workout if you're going to use the strength trainer. So don't forget that. Okay. Now, when you're looking at the strength trainer, like I said, it's going to look at your cardio versus your muscular strain. It does this as well for yoga because yoga all workouts have a strain that is put on your muscular system, but specifically cardio and in specific strength training is really going to look at yoga and specific strength training is really going to look at the load that is placed on your muscular system. So you will see that this is how much percentage of it was cardio versus how much of it was a load or a strain on your muscles, which is really cool. Because if you're doing a strength training session and you see that there's more cardio in it, you might want to change something that you're doing. If you're really wanting to focus on building muscle, that's not really happening if you're overloading your cardiovascular system too much. So just take a look at that when you're loading or when you're doing those strength workouts and see, and maybe you feel like you're dying during the strength session, and then you look and it's like cardio wise you're dying during a strength session, and you look at your strength trainer and no, it's actually you're doing a great job doing muscular load instead, and you can do more. So all right. Now we do have our strain coach and some of the reporting that happens with the strain. This is really cool. So again, you have feedback that your strain coach is going to give you. So the very top center image is showing you, again, that relation between your recovery and your strain, showing you what your optimal strain is, telling you what maybe you want to look at doing for the day based on that recovery. And then again, underneath that, your coach is saying, this is what you're capable of handling today based on your recovery. So here's the range that you want to work. Really great tools. Okay. At the very bottom of the home screen, the home screen, you have home and you have coaching, you have community, and you have more. There's more options there now as well. But your coaching your coaching section is going to bring you to the image that's on the left. Okay. That's your reporting that you're going to look at for your strain. It's going to give you a line graph of your training behaviors and basically break down all of your metrics. Okay. So your training behaviors, your sleep consistency, everything is going to be there to help you look at how you're performing. If you're overtraining, if you're prioritizing recovery, if you're performing optimally, things like that. Okay. So your coaching tab is really going to help you identify what you're trending towards and maybe what corrections you need to make. Okay. Now you have, you have this that you can always look at your coaching score here. Every month, Whoop is going to send you every week, Whoop is going to send you a weekly report. They'll also send you a monthly report. And then at the end of the year, you get an annual report as well that helps you look at your trending behaviors. So again, like, what do I need to fix? What's happening here? Why am I feeling so run down and tired? Okay, let's look at this. So you can use those tools to really help set up future success for yourself, or possibly explain like, oh, wow, I've really been overtraining a lot. So I maybe should pull that back a little bit. Okay, so it'll look at current statistics versus past statistics, what your average is, things like that. In your strain, or yes, in your strain home, excuse me, it'll give you your metrics that help you calculate your strain, so your average heart rate, the calories burned, things like that. So you can go into each of those and look at the trending data. And again, like I said at the bottom, then it's going to give you more information on that specific statistic or metric. Okay, so you've got your average heart rate. If you click on average heart rate, it's going to bring you to an average heart rate page that will show you your weekly, monthly, 6 month data, and then it'll give you information on your average heart rate. So each one of those will break down for you. We've got average heart rate, calories. I do typically tell people to just, depending on your relationship with your body and with food, calories can be a touchy subject. I just eat. If you're hungry, eat. If you're bored, then just notice that you're bored and you're looking for something to do. But yeah, calories aren't necessarily always a good indicator of where your body is at. You need to make sure most people have a metabolic and resting metabolic rate, a basal metabolic rate of about 1,300 calories. Okay, so 1,300 calories, and that's with your body not active, not doing anything. If you laid in bed all day, it would be 1,300 calories that your body would burn. So and that's like 70% of your caloric burn. Okay, so you have an additional 30% of caloric burn that is built from daily activities. That's the biggest portion, and food burn. Those are the two biggest portions of calorie burn after just your body generally processing things throughout the day. The smallest portion of your calorie burn is actually from activities. Okay. So when we're looking at how much we should eat and how much we're burning, you want your body to be able to support its natural body systems. And so if you need 1,300 calories to just have your body function normally, you should be eating 1,300 calories. Okay. The additional calories that you burn from daily activity, processing your food, and if you're doing additional exercise activity, that's going to be your calorie deficit. Okay. So you're not going to replace those calories. You're going to still eat your 1,300 calories. Okay. If you have more questions about it, please reach out to me. If you have any health issues, please talk to your doctor. And yeah. Okay. It's my little input here. So again, here is the calories. And should you be tracking your calories? Again, that depends on your relationship with your body and your relationship with food. I typically tell people tracking your macros instead, or just looking at your food journal, like keep a food journal and look at what you're consuming, and for the most part, are you consuming whole foods, or are you consuming processed foods? If you're consuming more processed foods, we want to switch that over to trying to consume more whole foods. All right. Now, if that's not an option for you, that's okay. We want to try to get there, but there's lack of accessibility. There's financial limitations. I understand that those things happen, but if you have the ability to, and really take a look at that, just being like, oh, well, I can't, not necessarily a reason. I mean, really take a look at, if you have the financial means, if you have the time, if you have the accessibility to the foods, then do that. You don't have to eat at Whole Foods. You don't have to buy all this organic, grass-fed. I mean, if you can, go for it. But you really take a look at what time do you have, and how are you managing your time, and how are you managing your finances, and how are you what accessibility do you have? So again, I typically don't encourage calorie tracking. I typically encourage macro tracking, or just being aware and cognizant of the food that you are consuming. We want to make sure that we are getting our proteins, our carbs, and our fats. Okay. All three of those are important to your, again, natural body processes. So please make sure that you are consuming those three. If you have a specific diet that you are following that is doctor ordered, please stick with that diet. Okay. And then we have our vitamins and minerals as well. And you're going to get those through a lot of different things. But again, really making sure you're getting that protein, you're getting good, healthy fats. So olive oil is a great fat. Avocados are great fat. Peanut butter, eggs have great fat in them, and then carbohydrates as well. Okay. So there's that. Again, if you have more questions about calories, calorie tracking, or tracking macros, please reach out to me. Okay. Now this is fine. We've talked about this a little bit, but This I told you what my average strain is, and I think everybody just kind of wants to have an idea of, okay, what does it look like? So for the average strain for Whoop members is around 11 per day. Okay. Now, what I would like you to consider is we're looking at the statistics of Whoop users. So, generally, Whoop users are going to be people that are active in fitness, right? It's not people that are sitting deconditioned all day that are actually going to be using Whoop. More than likely, it's going to be people that are generally active. Usually, an active population, moderate activity, or higher. Okay. So 11 per day for the demographic of those that use Whoop. So consider who the demographic is, the target market is of who uses Whoop when you're looking at these statistics. The average strain for 1 hour of running is roughly 12, while an hour of walking is about 6.5. Okay. And the average strain for 1 hour of functional fitness is 10. Now, again, your strain is going to be different. You can see the difference between male and female strain for these activities here on the chart. It's going to be different. And again, the strain is going to change from gender and from age, okay, based on just how our body processes things. Men generally are going to have a higher strain because their bodies are bigger, so it takes more for their bodies to process things. And as we age, our activity level typically goes down, so you're going to see the strain decrease as people age. Now, you can see it here. It's very slight, but you can see it here. So keep those things in mind. Again, everybody is different. Now, is the strain based on a fixed formula, or does it have iterations to respond to trends? These are some of the questions that were asked from the Whoop community, and you can see these questions on Whoop on the website or on the Learn More section. So these are super fun. It is based on it responds to your trends, right? So like we said before, if you're red, it's going to understand that your ability to adapt to strain is lower. So you're going to need to take that into consideration. Okay. So it's going to adapt with you. Your strain is going to adapt with you. Your ability to manage your strain is going to adapt with you based on what you're dealing with. Okay. Why does my Whoop sometimes record a strain of 3 or 4 when I first wake up? Love this one. Again, the immediate strain that's placed on your body. So the strain is calculated from when you wake up to when you wake up, right? So I'm going to close out of here real quick and come back to you guys. Actually, let's keep it up so you guys will see. Yeah. You're going to have to look at my face. Okay. You're just going to have to look at my face. Okay. So here's the deal. So with the first one, is the strain fixed? The strain algorithm is not fixed. It adjusts to your baseline. We've already talked about that. Your strain will adjust to the changes in your fitness level. As your fitness improves, the same workouts will create less strain because your body adapts to it. Why does my Whoop sometimes record a strain of 3 or 4 when I first wake up? So again, your Whoop cycle begins when you fall asleep and then it resets when you fall asleep again. So sorry, not when you wake up, but when you fall asleep. So that strain that you're seeing right away in the morning is the strain that your body has accumulated. Excuse me, the strain that your body has accumulated overnight. Okay. So while you're sleeping, your body is still accumulating strain. Your body is still processing, doing regular system processing. You are dreaming. So you are moving. You are experiencing stress because of your dreams and strain because of your dreams. So when you wake up, you will have a strain. It should be relatively low since your body is still using energies and calorie when you sleep. Okay. So what factors make strain different from person to person? Again, we've already talked about this several times, that your strain is going to be different from another person's strain. So the data that is collected on your strain it's based on your personal physiology. Okay. So your heart rate, your fitness level, your diet, your hydration, your stress, your illness, if you have an injury, if you're consuming alcohol, if you have other health conditions, if you're training additionally, if you're training more, if you're training less, things like that, that's all going to go into what affects your strain. Yeah. Okay. So you'll see it. Like if you drink alcohol the next day or the previous day, it's going to affect your recovery, which is going to affect your strain. Right. Okay. And then it's impossible to reach the 21 strain like we've talked about before. So it's based on a mathematical limit. If you were operating at your max heart rate for 24 hours, you would earn a 21. But we cannot operate at our max heart rate for 24 hours a day. So you're not going to get a 21. Okay. So that is that. I'm going to bring you back to the PowerPoint presentation now, just so that you can see um, the the help information, because this is going to be there constantly. Okay. So when you are looking at anything on the app, if you need help with it, you'll see this little eye here, or you'll see a little question mark. And if you have questions about any of that, if you click on the eye or the question mark, it will give you more additional information on that specific metric or that specific tool. Okay. And then cool. All right. So we do have our next What the Whoop happening on January 22nd. It's actually going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern time. It's in regards to coaching. So it's going to go super in depth. We may not be able to get through all the elements of coaching. We're going to see how far we're able to get. Maybe we'll be doing a second one on coaching. When we're looking at coaching, there is coaching options for your strain, for your recovery, for your sleep. You do have coaching for all of them. So it might take a little bit to work through. But I hope you found this helpful. I hope you get to come to the next one. And again, it is on January 22nd. At 3 p.m. You can go to erinsfit.com and register for that. And yeah, should be good. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. And you can reach out to me on Instagram as well if you want. But it's been good. It's been real. Have a great rest of your day and go smile at people.